Italy is the country with the highest total expenditure on fishery and aquaculture products in Europe, with a per capita consumption of 30 kilograms of fish per year. Consumption soars particularly in the summer months, when restaurants in coastal areas almost exclusively serve fish to millions of Italian and international tourists for lunch and dinner. Trout is only one of the species bred in Italy. Others are marine species, especially sea bass and sea bream, bred in large cages at sea.
Questa è più grossa, quella là era 3.000 metri, questa è più grossa che è 25, circa 5.000 metri cubi.
Quindi a livello di unità quanti sono più o meno?
Ma di là sono 140, 150.000, qua sono circa 200.000 pesci.
A few days of research were enough to discover that the vast majority of the fish served on the tables by the sea does not come from the fishing boats stopped at the marinas, but is produced on a farm in Italy, or more often, abroad. In just a few decades, fish farming has grown to the point that today the quantities of globally farmed fish have exceeded those which come from fishing.
Se ti dico delle orate, tu vai al ristorante e dici che mangi un'orata di mare. Solo il 7%, 8 neanche, dell'orata che mangiamo viene dal mare pescato.
So today, aquaculture produces 50% of the food fish that we have on our tables, which are marketed across the globe. If we go back maybe 30 years ago, aquaculture did not have a production level so high. But in the last 3 decades, it's been going up steadily, between 5-6%, a bit slower now, but it's an industry. It's the fastest food production industry in the world.
The Food and Agriculture Organization, as well as other international bodies inside and outside the United Nations, are not mere witnesses of the enormous growth of fish farms, but are an active part of this change. Its invisible engine.
FAO is working with its member countries saying, let's develop aquaculture. We need more fish, simply because today the average consumption rate is around 20-21 kilograms per capita. If we want to keep that same consumption rate per capita over the next few decades, we have to produce more, simply because the world population is growing.
Θα είναι μια καταστροφή, το νόμο μου είναι, για την περιοχή.
Τα τελευταία χρόνια έχει γίνει μια τεράστια προσπάθεια η περιοχή μας να γίνει ΠΟΑΗ, δηλαδή περιοχή οργανωμένης ανάπτυξης ιχθυοκαλλιεργειών. Επειδή προβλέπεται το μέρος να καταληφθεί πλήρως από ιχθυοτροφία, είμαστε ενάντια σε αυτό.
The reason why Greece is able to attract more investment among countries in Europe is a rather lax regulatory system. Almost all farms in Greece are located near the coast, between 50 and 200 meters away from the mainland, and almost always in enclosed areas. Bays, archipelagos, small gulfs, marine spaces characterized by the absence of currents.
A lot of countries sometimes say, they don't put so much attention. They won't come out with rules and regulations of this is how you do it right and this is what you're not supposed to do and this is what you're supposed to do. Sometimes they let the industry grow. So they start developing, and that's at that point when there is a little bit of a critical mass, then maybe they are in a position to start regulating the industry. So we have seen this, all over the place, because if you start creating a lot of difficulties, it's very difficult for the industry to start.
The lack of currents is also one of the reasons why the proliferation of cages causes concern among local communities, who see with their own eyes the impact of farms on their territory.
Μιας και θεωρούμε ότι τα ιχθυοτροφία έχουν προκαλέσει μια τεράστια οικολογική καταστροφή και στη θάλασσά μας και στα ψάρια μας.
La Posidonia era completamente verde, banchi di Poseidonia infiniti. Oggi trovi tutta la Poseidonia ingiallita. Si vedevano una marea di gamberi, non se ne vede più uno. E io ti sto parlando nell'arco di 10 anni, più o meno. Oggi lì, che è stata invasa dalle fish farm, una desolazione. Ed era quel posto, era qualcosa di incredibilmente bello.
According to some environmental impact studies, for every 1,000 tons of fish farmed in Greece, 1.8 tons of organic material, uneaten feed, feces, dead fish, and other waste are discharged into the sea.
Donc ces usines de farine de poisson, ce qu'ils font, c'est qu'ils utilisent le poisson, donc qu'ils transforment en farine et huile de poisson pour aller exporter ça en Asie ou bien en Europe pour nourrir d'autres animaux. Ce qu'on considère être, même du point de vue éthique, pas normal, mais aussi du point de vue de la gouvernance des ressources, on pense que donc, ces ressources qui sont déjà considérées comme surexploitées ne devraient pas être utilisées pour produire de la farine et de l'huile de poisson pour aller nourrir d'autres animaux alors que les populations locales en ont besoin.
Here is the reason for our trip to Senegal revealed. We are following the supply chain of fish meal used in the production of fish feed in Spain. Cayar is a fishing village 60 kilometers from Dakar. To reach it, we need more than 2 hours by car from the capital, through a bumpy road that points north through villages of shacks and small brick buildings. In 2019, the Spanish company Barna built a fish meal factory in the village. The company talks about itself as a small company, specializing in the production of fish meal and fish oil from waste, committed to sustainability. What we see with our own eyes around the Cayar factory is quite different.
Moi, j'étais à l'école, je faisais l'école jusqu'à 1996. C'est en 1996 que j'ai abandonné l'école pour aller en mer. En 1996, il y avait, de 1996 à 2011, il y avait abondance sur la mer. Il y avait beaucoup de poissons. Mais en 2010-2011, avec la présence des bateaux étrangers, les bateaux russes qui étaient venus ici, ont pillé les ressources. Et nous avons senti qu'il y a la baisse de la ressource. On ne voit plus la ressource. Mais, lorsque l'usine de farine de poisson est venue, nous étions dans le programme de la régénération des ressources. C'est pourquoi on a implanté ici une aire marine protégée. Tous les pêcheurs vendent. Il y a beaucoup de pêcheurs qui vendent. En tout cas, l'usine a des mareyeurs qui viennent sur la place. S'ils trouvent le poisson, ils achètent ce poisson et l'amènent à l'usine.
Oui, avec son arme, il n'y a pas assez de poissons. La ressource se fait rare. Tant plus que les preuves vont pêcher toutes les sortes de poissons, même les plus petits, les plus grands. Et tant plus que l'usine a besoin de tous les poissons pour faire son marché.
The fish meal industry has grown a lot in just a few years in West Africa along the migratory routes of sardines. In 2019, Greenpeace surveyed 50 fish meal factories in Mauritania, Senegal, and Gambia. But that number has increased in recent years due to investments from Europe and, increasingly, from China.
La majeure partie de ces usines appartiennent aux Chinois et aux Européens. Donc c'est globalement ces deux entités qui produisent, qui ont investi dans cette industrie en Afrique de l'Ouest.